Hello guys, Assalamu alaikum. I am back once again with Kevin. Since the other day, we lost our recording completely thanks to Instagram. We kept on crashing. I've brought Kevin back and we're going to learn and we're going to dive in healing once again and learn so many things from Kevin. And Kevin is the expert here. He knows a lot about healing since he has embraced this journey from himself also. I'm super excited and hopefully today all will go well and the system will not crash because this is our second round on the same topic. So let me just send him the invite and we will take it from there. I'm really tired, guys. So if I'm a bit off today, just excuse me, okay? I'll just let Kevin take over. Hey there.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. How about yourself, Kevin?
Good. Can you see me okay? You can hear me okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Kevin, so before we dive into our conversation, please a quick introduction
Yes.
about yourself.
Okay, my name is Kevin. I'm creator of the Royal We community on YouTube, over 100,000 subscribers. I've been doing this for about 5 years now. I come from a personal background of having experienced narcissistic abuse. And having grown up in the church and being predominantly Christian, it opened my eyes to a lot of the holes and the faults of everything from Christianity to our relationships with people to the educational system, and just kind of opened my eyes to a lot of the harsher truths of the world that we live in. And I've been on a journey trying to help people process that and understand that in their own lives.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. So, Kevin, let's just dive right into our first question. What does healing mean to you?
What does healing mean? I always tell people that healing from trauma, from a narcissistically abusive relationship or betrayal or bullying, the goal of healing is not to get rid of pain, because that's impossible. A lot of times when people go through this awareness and this experience where their worldview and their relationship view shifts, people are waiting to come out on the other side feeling like they once did, or feeling like there's no pain, and going back into this la la land world where everything is rainbows and sunshine and unicorns and we can do anything. And I tell people that that's not what this is. Healing means that you're going to be hurting for the rest of your life. Most likely, you're going to have this new pain. It's going to be inside of you. And healing to me means accepting this pain, accepting that we will walk with this experience that will, from now on, help us discern people in our lives and relationships and who we can be close with and who we can't be close with, whether it's family members or people who call themselves family members or potential love interests. But that's what healing is. Healing's not about being pain-free. Healing is about becoming aware, discerning, and more self-reliant.
Right, right. I think it's a shift. It's a mind shift where first we are living in that pain, that trauma. But then when we embrace healing, it's like first we were drowning in our own pain or that trauma. But now we kind of start to navigate or know how to swim through that pain or that trauma. I think, like you said so beautifully, that it's not like pain is going to go away. We're just going to learn how to live with the pain, and with time probably the intensity will come down, but it's not like it's ever going to go away. You're always going to remember that that mark is always going to stay with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's been my experience. Yeah.
Kevin, you said in the beginning that you yourself went through a narcissistic relationship, or you went through it. Let's talk a little about that if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, like most people, I had that one experience with those people who I felt were narcissistically abusive in my life. And that was actually, I walked away from them about 6 years ago. I've
Okay.
walked in the presence of them. I've been no contact for 6 years,
Mm.
right? And I think anybody, by the way, who is no contact with unhealthy people, no contact meaning you're detached intimately from these people. So I've been out 6 years, 5 years I've been doing the Royal We journey. But the truth is that when it comes, and the relationship was family. It happened to
Okay.
be in-laws. I married into a very abusive, dysfunctional, controlling family that right when I was married, it was welcoming and great and fantastic. But once the family realized that we are becoming our own family with our own identity, our own views, our own opinion, our own politics, that
Right.
family went ape shit, if you know what I mean. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
the claws came out and they divorced us in their minds. And suddenly it was our child and you outside, and you're an outside man. And it really put our marriage under this tremendous pressure because there we are trying to be a family, yet we're with a family that divorced us because we're different. So it was very painful, and there was a lot of betrayal, and we both spent a lot of time crying about it because we were trying to fix it. We were walking on eggshells. We were trying to be nice, everything that people do in these relationships to try to work it
Mm.
out. And
Right.
I specifically was met with just more hatred and more anger. It seemed to me like the more Christian I tried to be, the more
Mm.
hate filled they were becoming. It got
Mm.
very dangerous
Mm.
and it was scary. I was
Yes.
shaking at times. I didn't understand it. But here's the deal. When I left, and over the years I've been doing the Royal We, I realized that it's not the first time I've seen it. I was
Mm.
raised in a home. Well, first of all, my dad left when I was 4. My mother was a broken person, shattered after being abused by him. She turned to alcohol, married into a different man who was really abusive. That was my stepfather. So I grew up seeing that kind of dysfunction.
Mm.
Um, and it made me realize that, listen, even though we come across this one relationship that we
Mm.
look at as that narcissistic relationship, really what that relationship is it's re-bringing back into our life some things about the world and about people that we thought we were avoiding. So
Right.
really, these narcissistic abusive relationships open up our eyes to the reality that we have to now look back and we have to, in
Mm.
our heart and in our mind, resolve the pain of what our parents did to us, our dads leaving, our moms not being there, our aunts, our uncles, whomever, our teachers. A
Mm.
lot of us had very abusive teachers that we have forgotten about. You know, we're in the classroom and there was teachers that, I don't know how it is where you are, but here in America, there were teachers that I look back on. They were abusive, mean
Mm.
people. You know what I
Right.
mean? If a kid talked in class, they would, make an example, put them in the corner of the room, make them put their. I remember I had to do that, put my nose in the room, and I could remember the other kids laughing. It's just
Mm.
like and I detached myself from what it felt like when I was a child. And so
Mm.
what narcissistic abuse does is it brings all that back, and now you got to go, oh my gosh, this is the world we live in.
Right.
Bullying is real, murderers are
Yes.
real,
Mm.
abusive people are real, and healing to me is us sorting that out,
Mm.
accepting a lot of that, and really figuring out our place so we can navigate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kevin, how can one understand or know that they need healing?
That's a great question. I mean, you don't
Mm.
know that you need healing until you know that you need healing. I think that,
Yes.
okay, I look, I actually got this from you the last time we talked.
Right.
Right? Healing begins at the awareness stage. I am such an agreement with you. I think that's
Mm.
brilliant because I used to tell people that healing doesn't begin until after you get out of the relationship. And what I mean by that is you're not able to really look at the wounds you have until you're free of being attacked, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
However, you had a great point in that awareness is actually your body coming into tune with something's wrong.
Yes,
This is
absolutely.
familiar and something's very wrong.
Mm,
And but people don't know it. You don't know how to process it. So people try to fix it. You may
mm,
try to resolve it. You may try to, you know, do whatever codependently to stay in there and fight for it. And I
mm.
believe that this is when you know you need to look into healing. This is
Yeah.
when people know, when you feel like you're trying to fix a relationship, you're trying to solve the problem, this is when you know, I think it's a safe thing to say, this is when you know you need healing. Because
Mm,
you should never, ever, ever be in a relationship that you're trying to fix.
mm.
Ever. That's not what relationships are for. Intimate
Interesting.
relationships are for two or more people coming together in equal loads, right? Like the
Mm,
Bible says, two oxen carry the plow together,
mm,
right? Oxen
mm,
aren't trying to fix each other because they're the same. The purpose of good relationships is to come side by side with people and carry the load together. So I believe if you're in a relationship where you feel like you're trying to change or fix or solve something, you need healing. There's something
mm,
causing that.
mm. Absolutely.
And I
Yes,
got
that
that
makes
from
so
you.
much sense.
I got that
Yes.
from you. That was brilliant,
Thank
by the
you.
way. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. So let's talk about this. You're out of the relationship, knowing that this relationship was toxic or narcissistic, right? Let's kind of bring the focus on the person who's healing.
Yes.
And let's talk a little bit on boundaries.
Boundaries.
What yes, what's your understanding about boundaries?
Boundaries are for us, for ourselves. You know,
Hmm.
it's, I think a lot of times we think that boundaries mean we could tell other people, don't do this, don't do that, and that's what boundaries are. And that's not, because no matter what you tell other people to do, people are going to do what they do. You know what I
Right,
mean? You
right.
can't shake your finger at somebody. Again, this goes back to trying to fix people and trying to solve them, trying to make a relationship work. You can never point at somebody and say, do this,
Hmm.
do that, and call it a boundary. These are my boundaries. You know, my
Hmm.
boundaries are, don't talk to me like this, don't talk to me like that, because these are my boundaries. No, boundaries are, okay, I see who you are. You're talking like that. I
Hmm.
can't be around you. I can't
Hmm.
go out with you. No, mom and
Hmm.
dad, I can't come over for dinner. I won't come over for dinner. So
Hmm.
boundaries are just about us and how we move and how we respond. If that
Hmm.
makes sense, it's,
Yes,
and
yes, absolutely.
there's a place for that, I believe, in telling other people,
Hmm.
listen, I have boundaries against this type of language, hostility, aggression, but I almost think it needs to be in a way invited. In other words,
Hmm.
you have to be with people who you're comfortable with,
Hmm.
who you know will
Hmm.
listen to you. Then you can establish your boundaries with them. So if they care about you, for example, certain family members, and they really genuinely say, okay, what's going on? Why don't you want to be around us? Why don't you want to? And you feel safe enough, then you can say, listen, I have boundaries against hostility and aggression. I have
Hmm.
boundaries against the drama. And so I'm going to remove myself until I feel safe. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
what boundaries are.
Yes.
That's what boundaries are.
Hmm.
Instead of,
Hmm.
and you stick to that. And then
Hmm.
you allow them the opportunity, if they
Hmm.
ever will, to make changes. And if they don't, you have to stick to your boundaries and not show up.
Hmm.
I know it's harsh, but
Right.
that's what boundaries are.
Yes, yes. And I think, I mean, one of the things we need to understand is a person who lacks to have boundaries is a person who's toxic. We have to understand, because when we don't have boundaries for ourselves, we will continue to break other people's boundaries because we don't have any understanding about what's the purpose of boundaries and how they serve us and how they serve other people as well.
Right, right. Was that a question or a statement?
No, that was just a statement.
Okay,
Kevin, I think we're getting some questions. If you don't, let's go through them. And
sure.
uh, what if you are afraid of getting attacked after setting boundaries? Is it okay to wait until you feel stronger? Kevin, you go first.
Yeah, well, listen, part of becoming an individual, an independent person, is facing that fear of being attacked. And so a lot of times the fear of being attacked is greater than the actual attack. So
Mm.
yes, there are crazy situations where there are crazy exes or whatever that will show up, punch, hit, scream, shout, yell,
Mm.
kill, whatever. You have to know what you're dealing with. And
Mm.
ahead of time, you have to be prepared. Do you need to call 911? Do you need to have police there? Do you need to have friends there? But if it's not that extreme, because I was afraid of being attacked too. And what
Yeah.
I realized, what I had to really understand what that fear was.
Mm.
All these people were doing, yes, it could have escalated to physical violence, but more what they were doing was hurting me with their words. They were hurting me with calling me ignorant, selfish, asshole, stupid, judgmental, all of these things that, you know what I mean? You're selfish, and our half sister deserves a better husband, and all these things. And so what I had to do was I had to slowly understand that these attacks, it's them,
Mm.
and it took a while, but I had to not be afraid of those attacks. I had to eat that in order to set boundaries up, because when you set your
Mm.
boundaries, they're going to attack. They're going to call you names. They're going
Mm.
to cuss you out. They're going to do a smear campaign.
Mm.
So you can't be afraid of that. You have to say, okay, I'm going to go through that, but it means my freedom.
Mm.
Because the other option is, if you're too afraid to set boundaries, well, then you're stuck.
Mm.
And you're going to deal with that anyways.
Mm.
So another thing I challenge people with is I say this: listen, think about this. Are you happy, and is it a safe relationship when you're with them? And the
Mm.
answer is typically no, it's not. Okay, well, guess what? When you leave, it's not going to be safe, and they're not going to treat you well either. So
Mm.
really, it's like, what's the difference? You might as
Mm.
well set boundaries and go no contact, because it's just going to be more of the same. The only difference is when
Mm.
you get no contact and you become difficult for them to reach and manipulate and fight with, they'll leave you alone eventually, because
Right.
you're too difficult for them to get anything out of. Does that make sense?
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, Kevin, coming back to boundaries, sorry, healing again. Let's
Yeah.
talk about healing. So there's this person now, supposedly, and now they're trying to, they understand that they require healing. How does healing look like? Does it look like very easy? Is it dark? Is it ugly? How is healing going to look for someone?
Healing is very dark for everybody, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about, again, as we talked a little bit about earlier, we touched on, when you first are detaching, you think it's about that relationship,
Right.
right? But what's really happening is your eyes are opening to everything you've always experienced: teachers, family members, the world in general. Then you're going to start to question, well, if all of that was a lie, then you're going to start to look at the government. You're going to start to look at the country you live in. You're going to start to look at the medical industry. You're going to start to look at things like vaccines. You may start to wonder if we ever landed on the moon. Your mind is going to go into all different types of dark territory, because you don't know anymore what's true and what's
That's
not.
true.
You don't know who
Absolutely.
you are. You don't know who really loves you and cares for you. You
Mm.
don't know if love and words like love and trust are even real anymore. It's
Mm.
like, you know what I mean? This person said they loved me, talking perhaps maybe about a marriage. This person said they loved me, used my body, had sex with me, and then they're out doing whatever they were doing. Well, is that love? That can't be love.
Mm.
And so now suddenly you're thrown off from what love means. It makes no sense. And then things like
Yeah.
trust. What is trust? And so it becomes very dark. And you go through a phase of being afraid of people,
Mm.
but really you're afraid of not knowing who you are in the world, right? That's really what it's about. So it's a very dark place. A lot of people, myself included, go crazy. You can start talking to yourself. You can start yelling and arguing with yourself, meaning,
Mm.
you're stuck in your mind, ruminating thoughts. You're in an argument with narcissistic people,
Mm.
and but no one's around. I did this at jobs I had. I had to walk out of jobs over 6 years ago. When I was going through it, I was at a job and I'm working across from somebody, and my mind was just gone. I was in a heated discussion, a ruminating, you can call it a violent fantasy, if you will, where I was being yelled at and called names in my mind, and I started saying things back. Don't call me that. What do you do? You know what I mean? And I snapped out of it and looked up, and the guy I was working with looking at me like, "You all right, dude? You're like having an intense discussion." And I went to HR and I said, "I have to quit. I can't be here because I can't do it." So it's a very dark territory. Um, for me, the Bible helped understand this as well. Stories of Moses made sense to me. When Moses ran from Egypt, for those who don't know the story of Moses, he left Egypt because he was betrayed and rejected by both the Hebrew people and the Egyptian people. He had nobody. And so he was in such a dark place, he didn't know who he was anymore. And he was crazy enough to stop and pay attention to a burning bush where God met him there and started to talk and said, basically was saying, Moses, I can use you now because you've been so betrayed that you have no connection to people anymore. You've run from everybody. And I feel like this is all of us in a way, my own faith included. I ran from the church. I ran from Christianity. I ran from family. I'm grateful that my wife stayed with me because it wasn't easy on her because I was a wreck during this process. But I ran, and to me, that burning bush moment happened to be with me questioning the world. You know, what's the medical industry? Are all the vaccines really in our favor? Or what the hell are they doing to our bodies? What's in our food? I was going nuts. What do people really care? What's family? What's wrong with my dad? What's wrong with my mom? Nothing made sense. Who am I? So it's such a dark place to be in. And you're fortunate if you have one person there who is able to just be by your side and maybe not get it, but just be there, right? So I have that one person, and I try to be that one person when I'm working with people. And that's really what the Royal We is about is, you know, there's no one too crazy as a result of narcissistic abuse, trying to sort it out. You know, and don't get me wrong, there are people who I have to say, calm down, because a lot of times people get, you know, way out there with, you know, all kinds of stuff like, calm down, I get it, you know, but it's a dark place. It's a dark place.
Right. So now that we are in a dark place, how does the light come in? How do we finally start to see the light?
That's a great question. There's the practical steps. Well, first of all, understand that it's going to run its course. Your body's going to do what it's going to do. So I tell people all the time, listen, it's not a race. We're not racing to see who can heal first. Listen, I tell people this. A lot of times people watch the Royal We and they'll schedule some one-on-one time and they're like, you know, I want to be healed. Like you come across so, you know, how do I get healed, Kevin? How do I make the pain stop? Because you look like you have the answer. And my response is, look, you know, you're assuming that all my pain stopped, and it hasn't. So again, this question is kind of similar to before. What does that light at the end of the tunnel look like to you? If people think the light at the end of the tunnel looks like being pain-free, you'll never get there. I'm not there, right? If the light at the end of the tunnel looks like you moving on with your life and becoming everything you're called to be, even if it means you dragging with you some of this pain that's going to protect you, if that's your reasonable expectation of the light at the end of the tunnel, then you'll make it. You'll make it. Right?
Absolutely. Yes. I think light, like you said, when one embraces healing, it's like you've become so emotionally numb because of the pain you were living in for so many years. It's actually letting going of that numbness, and it's like being able to feel your body again, being able to feel being inside of yourself again. And I think that is when the light starts to come in again. I'll repeat, it's like the awakening. Every time you dismantle the pain, you understand the effect and cause it has on you. That's when light is coming in, because now you're starting to understand or have the power to change and not stay stuck with that pain, or letting it define who you are and how you're supposed to live.
Yes, yes, yes.
right?
The pain doesn't have to define you, but you can
Mm,
use the pain,
yeah,
right? So it's
right,
like
right.
we don't need to waste these things, this pain. The royal we, for example, is birthed out of pain. So
Mm,
there's plenty of times, even a couple months ago, in my own prayer life, where I would sometimes bring in that pain. I'd feel that pain again, and I
mm,
would get in this place in my mind, go, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the hurt. I'm sick of the hurt. I'd have a pity, self-pity moment, right? I
mm,
can't
mm,
believe I experienced all that. Life sucks. My parents, my in-laws, why can't it be better? Why can't we all get along? Why can't people be loving? This and that, right?
mm,
And in my own prayer life, I one time said, I wish I could go back in time and had never experienced this pain. Like
mm,
I hate it. I hate how it creeps up on me sometimes. And in
mm,
my own prayer life, I hear an answer back that says, okay, that's fine, Kevin. We'll go back in time so you never experience this pain. But we'll take the royal we with it. Because this now in my life doesn't exist without that.
mm,
And so for me, I try to help people to understand the importance of allowing the pain not to control your life, but for you
mm,
to control it and manage the pain and apply it in your life.
right.
Apply it with better relationships, apply
Mm,
it professionally, apply it
mm,
into your focus. And
mm,
I've discovered with me, whenever I have ruminating thoughts, because I'm still in
mm,
my healing journey. Listen, it
mm.
doesn't matter.
We all are. Mm,
Listen, 100,000 subscribers, 500,000 subscribers. I don't care if I'm a millionaire. I'm healing.
mm,
I'm on my healing journey, and
mm,
I want to walk with other people who are healing.
mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I am under the
Absolutely.
and I'm okay. I'm okay if it takes the rest of my life to heal. I'm fine. I
Mm,
get it now. I'm okay
mm,
with the ups and downs of that. I'm okay
mm,
with the discomfort of that. I'm okay
mm,
with knowing that these life isn't what I thought it was going to be. My
mm,
parents aren't what I was told they're supposed to be. My siblings aren't what I'm a father. I have two children. And God forbid I may be whacked upside the head once they reach teenage years in their 20s and 30s that I may discover they're not what I thought they were supposed to be.
mm,
And I better be mentally prepared to deal with that.
mm,
If that means I say goodbye and I never see them again. And this is
mm,
something that we wrestle with,
mm.
right? But
Right,
it comes
absolutely.
back to us just being able to process this and walk the rest of our lives with these harder truths, you know?
Absolutely. Beautiful said. I remember a few years ago, and this is when uh, I had no idea what was going on. And my friend, one of my very close friends, we both were having a conversation. She's like, Mavish, let's say that God, Allah, uh, says to you, we'll go back in time, take everything away, and now you can change the narrative, you can change your story.
Right.
Who would you choose? Who would you choose as a life partner? How would your life be? And I stopped there and I looked at her and I was like, interesting. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to change anything. And she looks at me and she's like, are you stupid? You're getting an opportunity to go back, change everything, fix your life. You're saying no. And I said, interestingly, yes, I would say no. Because the kids I have, number one, I love them. Not in the world would I change that.
Right.
Okay. And number two, my pain has brought me to where I am today. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I did not go through what God put me through, then I wouldn't be the person I am today. I could have had a perfect life with a perfect person, but I would have been so unaware and living such a non purposeful life.
Yes.
So, anytime, 100 times, if I have to do it again, 100 times I'll go through the same thing because I know where it's taking me to. And where I am shows me and excites me to where it's going to take me because like you
Yes.
said, we're healing, right? So we're
Yes.
peeling off the layers. We've peeled off so many layers, but when we have those triggers and it gets hard, we know that when we push through, something amazing is going to come out of it.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of it, right?
Yes. 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 I look at what I went through as affording me to be able to talk with someone like you. And who knows, you know, you have somebody brand new out there that you're impacting right now. Right. And
Right,
so,
right.
yes. Right. So
Yes,
this doesn't
yes.
exist without that. So
Right.
when we can grab onto that, it doesn't make the pain go away,
Hmm.
but it just means that you're able to accept it. You know, one of the New
Hmm.
Testament stories was of a person named Paul. Real quick, Paul the apostle.
Right. Yeah.
One of the ancient stories is that Paul let people know that I have a thorn in my flesh that I walk with every day. It's painful and I hate it. He
Hmm.
called it the thorn in his flesh, and it wasn't a physical thorn. He was saying that I walk every day of my life with pain, and I've had to accept that God says my grace is sufficient for you, meaning you're going to do what you're called to do, and this pain
Hmm.
is a part of it.
Hmm.
And there's an element of that we're all going to carry, right? So
Hmm.
we're
Hmm.
going to live our lives, we're going to do great things, and the sooner we understand that we need to accept the pain, deal with it, don't try to push it away anymore. By the way,
Don't suppress it. Yeah.
yeah, don't suppress it, don't push it away, which, by the way, this is what we do in our adolescence, right? So this is
Hmm.
why the narcissistic abuse hurts so bad, is because what we did is we took the pain of what our teachers did in school to us. We
Hmm.
take the pain of what our mother did, our father did, the abandonment, the rejection, what our aunts did, our uncles did, what our brother or sister did to us. In our adolescence, we push that away. We run from it. We get busy, we get ambitious, we do sports, we do all kinds of stuff, and we pretend like we do whatever we can to avoid it. What
Hmm.
happens when we experience narcissistic abuse is it brings all that back, and now we're not running. Now we're actually facing it, and now we're
Hmm.
accepting that we're going to allow that pain to work in our lives
Hmm.
to help
Hmm.
us do things better, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Something just really popped up, and I just want to share that. It's like healing is like this, pain is like this. There are two people, right? And both of them lose one of their arms, right? Now, one person lets that pain dictate their whole future, and they use it as an excuse not to grow, not to do anything, and act like the victim their whole life. I lost a hand, I lost a hand, I can't do anything. And then there's this other person loses the hand, but they don't let that pain define them or stop them from going or moving forward.
Right.
So I think those two, we have those two, and we can pick which one we want to be, which role we're going to play. Are we
Yeah.
going to stay stuck with the pain and use it as an excuse because it's too painful to go through that awareness, that awkwardness, that darkness? Or are we going to say, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable, this is something I'm not ready for, but I'm going to do it because this is right for me?
Yes. Yes.
Kevin, what role does forgiveness play in healing?
Yeah, this is a good
Forgiveness
question.
for ourselves and others.
Right. No, I appreciate that's such a great question. I believe that most people don't know how forgiving they are.
Mm,
And one of the things I like to tell people that is that, look, if you've walked away from family members, if you've walked away and gone no contact from an ex, if
mm,
you've chosen to walk away instead of fight, you're
mm,
already forgiving. And I'll tell you why.
mm,
Because forgiveness, like it derives from like debt forgiveness, right? So if someone loans somebody
mm,
money, what debt forgiveness means is they won't come and shake that person upside down and say, "Give me the money you owe me." Debt
mm,
forgiveness is, look, I've
mm,
given you money, go your way, and that's
mm,
it. And I'll never give you money again, but go your way. You're forgiven. You don't have to pay me back. I'm not going to beat it out of you.
mm,
I'm not going to chase you. So forgiveness is simply this. Forgiveness is not trying to shake the other person and
mm,
say, "Give me back what I gave you."
mm,
That's all forgiveness is. Forgiveness
mm,
means that you're not trying to chase them,
mm,
saying, "I'm going to beat you for what you took from me." And now here's the deal. A lot of us in our minds sometimes go there.
mm,
And I tell people that that's okay. It's okay. Deal with it in your mind. But if you're not physically going after the person, if you're not physically trying to shake that person upside down, saying, I'm going to punish you, you owe me, then you've already forgiven them. And people need to understand this, because a lot of people think that they're so unforgiving because they've walked away from their mom, they've walked away from their dad, and they're like, and they hear that. Narcissistic people, controlling people will say, if you walk away, you're unforgiving. If you stay away from me, you're unforgiving. No, that's wrong. Walking away and saying is the most forgiving thing you could do, because you're saying, no, listen, I'm walking away so I don't shake you upside down and say, give me what you owe me and have never given me in return for everything I've done for you, right? So forgiveness is being able to walk away. Most people don't realize how forgiving they are by nature. So you don't have, I tell people, try not to worry about that. If you've walked away, you're forgiving. Reconciliation, though, is different. Reconciliation is when two people come together and work out their differences, but that takes two people willing to do that. And with narcissistic personalities in this world, that controlling, bullying personality, it's not possible, because they don't see they're wrong, because you can't. You're so different in personality that you're not gonna. It's like light and darkness. Light and dark. How does light tell darkness to be light? It can't. How does darkness tell light to be darkness? It can't. So at some point they're gonna disgust each other, and there's gonna be no reconciliation. And I believe that's kind of where we're at in life, especially with narcissists. We're in this area where light and darkness came to this place where it became enmeshed, but we're at this place now where we're just repulsed by each other, and nobody, who's right and who's wrong, it doesn't matter. There's light and there's darkness, and you can't, it's like opposite ends of a magnet. And there's no way for either part to see the other side differently.
Right. Kevin, what about self-forgiveness? People sometimes struggle with forgiving themselves for not knowing better, for going through so much of pain. How do we learn to forgive ourselves? Be kinder to ourselves.
Yeah, a lot of empaths, myself included, are very hard on ourselves because of the capacity we have to feel. Right. I believe that, and again, this is a nature thing. Right, where there's there's a big argument out there. Narcissists, is it nature versus nurture? Listen, I don't believe narcissists are raised necessarily. There's a lot of evidence that supports that. Listen, people can be raised in the most abusive environments, but end up being the most amazing people. Right? So that's narcissists don't come from. It's not the result of a horrible background, because there's great people that come from a horrible background, right? So So the nature versus nurture, I didn't mean to derail the conversation there, but if you're struggling to forgive yourself, it's part of your own nature, that empathic side that's so hard on yourself because you're a healer. Most empathic people are healers. They want to heal. We want to heal the world. We want to embrace everybody and give them a hug, right? And which is an important gift, right? I put out a video about codependency. I don't believe in codependency. I believe that narcissists create codependency, because what it is it's somebody whose nature, very nature, is empathic, is loving, is healing, somebody who wants to heal, being brought into a relationship with a narcissist who sits there and says it's not good enough because they're so controlling. Now that person by nature is trying to do more and more and more and more and more, because the nature is to want to heal. So self-forgiveness is self-acceptance, really. It's you being able to stand back and say, look, okay, I'm going to push aside the idea of being codependent. I'm going to push aside this idea that I've got to do more. I'm going to accept that I'm loving, healing. I love to heal people. I am affectionate. I love to hug. I'm not hostile. I don't want to fight people. And the more you accept who you are in this world, naturally you're going to start to embrace yourself more. And I think that's where forgiveness comes from, is you just being able to accept yourself.
Self-acceptance,
Self-acceptance is self-forgiveness, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And self-acceptance, by
Kevin,
the way, self-acceptance, by the way,
yes.
though, comes by understanding that, again, you're different than the narcissistic people. It's the difference of light and darkness. So we have a
Mm,
hard time accepting ourselves until we first understand how different we are from what we experienced.
yes, absolutely. Kevin, why do you think a person would resist healing? Do you think they're in a lot of pain, or is it coming to terms with the truth? Why would one feel stuck or resist their personal journey of healing?
I mean, healing's the personal journey of healing is dark. I mean, how do you? Okay,
Mm,
so right. I mean, that is such a good question.
mm,
I think that we all try to resist healing by
mm.
trying to make broken relationships work.
Yes.
So every time I am thinking about contacting those in-laws,
Mm,
which by the way, I
mm,
still wrestle with that in my
mm,
mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, look, I'm Kevin the Royal We now. I help thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, right? So it's like, wow, if only they knew I'm this good loving person, maybe now I
mm,
could talk to them. Maybe now
mm,
I can reach them.
mm,
Again, darkness and light, and it doesn't matter
mm,
which it's there will never be any acceptance or love there.
mm,
But what
mm,
I'm doing is I'm resisting
mm,
healing. Why am I
mm,
resisting it? Because I I believe that we struggle, like everybody did from the beginning of time, we struggle to understand good and evil.
mm,
And I believe that even what we're doing, diagnosis, narcissism, bipolar, borderline, histrionic, psychopath, sociopath, all these things are just efforts for doctors and scientists to come together and say, okay, here we are, we're all here on earth. What is the difference between Cain and Abel? And everybody, the ancient Hebrew people gave us this story. Here's two brothers born of the same family. One's a murderer and one's
mm,
righteous. And I think we've
mm,
spent all of our existence trying to sort out, well, what's the difference?
mm,
And so we don't like diving into that territory of understanding, oh my gosh, there are people who are like this and people who are like
mm,
that. And we have to accept it. We have to
mm,
learn to be okay with it. And then we have to
mm.
figure out, well, who are we? And it's a lot of burden. And then we have to
Yeah.
protect ourselves. And then we have to find people who are like us. And we have to accept that maybe it's our own brother or sister who's like Cain. Maybe it's our own
Mm,
dad or mom who's like Cain. This is
mm.
hard. And so I
Yeah.
think that there's a lot in this that people don't want to face. It becomes too difficult.
Yes.
It becomes too hard.
Yes.
It becomes, and then it, yeah,
It's like, don't you think, Kevin? It's like we show resistance because now we have to face reality, and what
yes,
was real for so many years is actually not real. I mean,
yes,
that's so hard in itself. When I'm saying it's heavy. Okay, I've
it's
I've been
heavy.
living this life with this person, and now it feels like, okay, it might just be a lie. Okay, I don't want to go there. I just pretend I never thought about that and just carry on with the brokenness.
Yes, yes. And a lot of people stay in marriages, relationships, 10, 15, 20, 30 years
Mm,
because
forever.
forever. Yeah,
Some people say
because
they're
it's
forever.
right, and that's their life, and it's like if you choose to do that, fine.
Yeah.
But it's and I tell people this too. Look, when it comes to, for example, marriage, and because I'm not an attorney, I'm not a legal advisor, and it's my position to tell somebody to get a divorce. It's not. It's a highly personal thing. But
Mm,
when people say, "Well, I don't know if I should," or blah blah blah, I say, "Look, you're at a fork in the road, and no matter what decision you make, it's going to be wrong. If you stay in the marriage,
mm,
it's wrong because you know that it's abusive, and that's all
mm,
you're going to get is whatever you have now is all you're ever
mm,
going to get in the marriage. So that's a wrong decision. If
Right.
you decide to divorce and go a different path, that's the wrong answer. And the reason that's wrong is because you don't know what's down there. You could be alone. You could be alone for the rest of your life. So here's what I tell people. Look, if you're going to make a big decision at this fork in the road with two wrong decisions, really it comes down to which one is worth the risk. If it's, in other words, if you think of going and facing aloneness for the rest of your life, and if that sounds better to you, if the worst case scenario down path B sounds better to you than staying, well, then that's your decision. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
If it
Absolutely.
doesn't, if the worst case scenario being alone for the rest of your life terrifies you more than the relationship, well, then perhaps you should consider that. It really
Yes,
comes down
I think
to
it's
that.
about choosing. It's about choosing. It's really good because uh, uh, when I was in that space, there was this thing that everybody said that your kids are going to be from a broken home, and I had to like really come back and say they're not from a broken home. It's just the relationship has shifted. The dad would love them and I would love them and everybody else would love them. It's not that you're going to hate on my kids now. So the house is not broken. It's just the dynamic has shifted of the way they're going to be raised. And then I had this struggle in my head that was it worth it for my kids to go through that? Should I bring them back? And then I had to come with terms, like you said. Is it worth it going back in that marriage and risking, and am I strong enough to deal with that?
Yeah.
Or am I okay being here in the uncertain, not ever knowing how financial independence is, being a woman, doing work and being on my own? Can I handle that truth? Because that's not me. That's not my identity. I was raised with the mindset that
Right.
women are to depend on men and men are to provide.
Right.
So can I switch that button off and really believe in myself that I can create that life for myself first and then for my kids?
Yes.
And then I went back and forth for, I don't know, 6 months. And I said, you know what? I don't know anything. I have zero experience. I don't know anything. Nobody around me knows anything about the territory I've entered, but I'm most certain that I'm not going back because that's something that's going to kill me.
Yes.
And that's not good for my kids. It's unhealthy. So when
Yes.
that door is shut, this uncertainty is something I'm going to embrace and learn.
Yes. Yes. I think it's a misconception for people to say a broken home only applies to a divorce, because sometimes families and married couples and children can be in the same house and stay together and it's still a broken home. It's a
Yes.
broken family. In fact, it's worse because people are
It's
all
worse.
walking all over the shards of glass of the broken, crumbled relationship, and it's just wounding everybody every day as a result of
Yes.
staying together, right? So
Yes.
sometimes,
Yes.
sometimes it's cleaning up the brokenness to decide to do it differently. So, but again, it's
Yes.
both answers are wrong until it's made right, and this is what I tell people: you can make it right. If you choose to go your own way, it's dark, it's lonely, you risk being alone, but you can make it right by doing by your approach, by one step at a time, new relationships, whatever. And by the way, the same is true if you decide to stay with an abusive relationship. If you really wanted to, you can make that right. People are like, how can you make it right? Well, you can change your mind and decide that you like the abuse. And I know people are like, what? That's crazy. Well, but listen, it's a real thing. I look at the story of Beauty and the Beast, for example. A lot of people think that the Disney cartoon Beauty and the Beast and the story is this princess who turned this monster into a Prince Charming. And but that's not realistic. What's realistic is that Beauty went into the situation, hated the monster at first, but then said, you know what? I'm going to change the way I see the monster. So the monster never changed. Belle in the story the princess changed the way she saw the monster. And
Yes,
that then
exactly.
transformed the whole situation. But the
Mm-hmm.
monster was still the monster. And
Yeah.
so there's that. But
Mm-hmm.
it depends again on who you are,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to reconcile that. If you're light and that's darkness, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, that story, but it's possible, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Kevin, thank you so much for coming forward and doing this all over again. The first time we had a lot of struggle. Uh, Two things I'm going to ask you, and we'll wrap it on that. Is first, how do people connect with you? What kind of programs are you offering? What's going on that part? And your final words for the audience.
Yes. So first of all, if you're not a subscriber on the Royal We, I encourage you. I would be grateful if you would subscribe to the Royal We on YouTube. Um, I do have coaching programs available. I am starting a group support coaching program that is extremely cheap for everybody that's going to be involved. It starts next week, and that's going to be daily live, very personal coaching with me every day, and then breakout groups at the end of the week. I do also take one-on-one calls with people. So most of that stuff can be found on the links on my YouTube channel or in Linktree on my Instagram. And y'all are welcome to follow me on Instagram as well. And I hope to be able
Awesome.
to talk to you. And I thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yes.
I thank you for, I'm not organized enough to do what you're doing here and to keep this going. I appreciate that. And
Thank you.
I hope to talk again, you know.
Yes, Kevin, I need to bring you back another time. We need to talk about so many things that we said off air, that these are some things we should touch upon. So
Right.
I look forward to doing that with you. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, guys. Like always, I will tag him. You can connect with him. He's offering amazing programs, and he has a YouTube channel. Subscribe and learn. And take care of yourself, Kevin. Everybody take care of yourselves. We are out. Bye-bye.